Ossaert, also known as Griepke, Oeschaart, Oessaart, Oschaart, Osgaard, Oschaart. Province, Zeeland, Gelderland. Ossaert, also known as Ossaert, Oschaart, Osgaard, Osschaart, Oeschaart and Griepke, was once an ordinary dog that belonged to his owner, Borns, Henricus Bornius, 1617 to 1675. His owner was an infamous man, known for his cruelty. He found no peace in the afterlife, and neither did Ossaert. Both of them remained to haunt their residence in Klostertzaan, until the building was demolished in 1856. Ever since, Ossaert became a notorious water demon, both in Zeeland, Gelderland and parts of Belgium. Most prominently, he appears in the form of a black dog with fiery eyes. It is said he also takes the shape of a rabbit, horse or donkey, and that he can expand in size. Again, others say he appears as a bull with a human head, always pulling heavy chains where he goes. Some people even described him as a blue light. Zeeland. In Zeeland, Ossaert is said to be a water demon from the Hulst region. According to the stories, he's the pet of Borns, although others believed Ossaert and Borns to be the very same entity. Fishermen had an understanding with Ossaert, and each time they went out fishing, they offered him the first fish they caught. This prevented Ossaert from ruining their next haul. Ossaert is also a terrible tormentor, with a tendency to ambush people late at night. Pushing drunk people into the water was one of his signature acts. The fiend would also lie in wait for a late-night encounter. He'd then jump on the backs of unsuspecting passers-by and laugh as he forced them to their knees. His victim would have to endure this until the break of dawn. If, for whatever reason, a person wanted to provoke Ossaert, he could be summoned by wording the verse, Griepke grayu, zonder tand en zonder mouw. Or alternatively, Griepke grayu, zonder tand en met een mouw. Blommaert and Ossaerts. Fisherman Blommaert was a smuggler who once encountered the Ossaert after fishing in his area. He went home, baked a couple of fish in the fireplace, and went to bed. The following morning, he found that half of his fish were gone and something had left a wet mark in the shape of a big claw in the ashes. Blommaert remembered the old verse but wasn't fazed by it. He thought of a way to outsmart Ossaert. That night the weather was stormy, and Blommaert left the fireplace smoldering. Again, Ossaert's claw reached through the chimney for a free meal. However, when Ossaert retracted his claw, the fish were all deviled. Blommaert anticipated that the big claws of the Ossaert would be rooting through the ashes, so he decided to hide horse turds at the bottom of the hearth. Ossaert did not expect this and was caught by surprise. The big water demon lost his balance and plunged into the water. Blommaert deemed himself victorious and went out to fish the very next day. He threw out his nets and could not believe his luck when he pulled them back in. They were heavier than ever before. After a lot of pain and effort, the nets almost surfaced. But when Blommaert laid eyes on his catch, he was so surprised that the rope slipped from his hands. He didn't catch any fish at all, they were horse turds. Ossaert's laugh was heard all over the waters. Gelderland. The Ossaert from Gelderland wasn't that much different. The water demon was especially well known on the Veluwe, where he was said to live in Uddelermeer. A monk once banned him from the forest at a place called Hoog Duvel, where he would not leave for 99 years. Again, summoning the demon was done with a verse, which was slightly different. Griepke grayu, ach me griepen wilt, Griep me dan gayu. The demon from Hoog Duvel. A tale from the Veluwe speaks of a farmer from Nunspeet who traveled to Vizel for his firewood. But as soon as his cart was loaded, he noticed that his poor horse had become sick. The man had no other choice but to get his horse looked after. He visited a farmer and asked if there was a chance he could deliver the firewood to Nunspeet. The farmer called out to his servant, who saddled a black horse and went in his stead. It was night when the servant headed home, through the area of Hoog Duvel. He recalled tales of a water demon who used to live in Uddelermeer. The beast was known to terrorize the area until a holy monk drove him back to Hoog Duvel, where he was sealed for 99 years. People claimed they had seen him, but the servant didn't believe any of it. His neighbor supposedly provoked the demon, which is how the heavy monster jumped on his back. He would not let go, and the man thought he might die, but managed to carry the weight outside of Hoog Duvel, where the Ossaert could not follow. The servant was not impressed by this tale. He opened his mouth and spoke those dreaded words, Griepke grayu, ach me griepen wilt, Griep me dan gayu. A flame rose from the ground with a loud boom. His horse pranced away and the servant almost fell. There, in the distance, he could see the demon coming their way with incredible speed. Quickly, the servant moved his horse into gear and managed to get outside of Hoog Duvel before Ossaert could catch up with him. Upon noticing Ossaert could no longer follow, The young man turned his horse and laughed in his face. Ossaert retaliated with a loud roar, which summoned green-eyed werewolves from the Ruta Hagen. The servant was done laughing and feared for his life. It was still a long way to Vizel, and the wolves were on his tail all the way there. Upon arrival, he immediately barred the door. Inside the barn, he took notice of how much his poor horse was sweating. It looked like it had just come out of the water. Before going off to bed, the servant thanked his horse and tended to his needs. A mounted horse head hung from the barn. This is done in order to keep nightmares out. It was of no use, however. By morning, the innocent horse was dead. When the servant told the farmer what happened, he was fired immediately. The farmer was furious. Vlaanderen. In Flanders, the Ossaert does many of the same things, looks much the same way. In a similar case to the tale of Gelderland, a monk banned him from a restricted area for 99 years, although in this case, it was to the sea. Likewise, Ossaert was to be summoned with a verse. Grijte graju, wald me grijpen. Grij made out. It wasn't easy to shake Ossaert once he got on someone's back. One way to get him off was by moving out of his restricted area. A different trick from Belgium was to pray a lot, stop at every chapel along the way, and turn right at every turn. An old nursery rhyme about the Ossaert goes something like this. Oschart, Oschaart, mag ik voorbij het kapelleken gaan? Is meneer Oschaert niet thuis?